Different. That shot hit my soul a little different, chat. And that's the thing. I feel like there are times in life when you might do something or you might say something that hits somebody different than you intended it to be. And you might want to throw it up. That acid reflux might kick in and you might want to... But you gotta be the real you. You gotta keep it 110%. Keep it $150 if you gots to. Cause look, at the end of the day, they don't know who you are. They don't know you. So you gotta be honest with yourself and the other person by 100% giving them the absolute authentic self you can. Because apparently the fucking Homeland Security secretary, her fucking husband out here wearing big old titties, the big old bitties. Because that's who he truly is. Like our fucking leadership. Says how pure they are and what their intentions truly stand for, but they don't really know what their own husband's stance is on that, right? Bro got fucking triple D's on him. Triple D's. Bro was shaking them titties, bro. And then you see Kash Patel out here doing the humiliation rituals for his fucking masters. I think, chat, now we're starting to see these people weren't authentically who they want to be. They want to be straight up whitewashed, straight up absolutely corporatized for you to accept them, because their real personality is not genuinely a real personality. It is curated to fit the artificial narrative they have created for themselves. And that's what I feel like the problem is with the world now. Is that these people that are in leadership positions can't even lead a bunch of goats, can't even lead a bunch of fucking sheeps down a hill. And they want to lead a nation and say what they truly feel is real. Because it's real. I feel like the way the world is running right now, we clearly see who is real. And the fucking one thing I truly say, the people that tell me, hey, you're dog whistling, so if you hearing the dog whistle, I got a proposition for you, brother. If you telling me I'm dog whistling, then how you hearing that whistle? Because clearly there's a disconnection somewhere, brother, because I'm keeping it $150 with you. And that's my reality, is I will give you my full authentic self. I will not hold back just because to make it easy for you. I'm sorry, but not sorry. Unfortunately for you, couldn't help it. My bad, OG. I can't help it. I'm built this way. I was born this way, and I will stay this way. Sure, will I learn a little bit when I get new information? Sure. Do I change my opinion when I get new information? For sure. But I have a personality. I have an authentic core that I believe in, and that's what I'm going to stay with. I'm not going to change for nobody. And unfortunately, if that's not what you like, get up and get out. Let's get you packed up and packed out. Because I don't think a lot of people are realizing why the world is the way it is. I think the genuine fact is that too many people are virtue signaling and want to be good people, want to be the greatest ever, make us great again. But they're doing nothing but virtually signaling from people that are rotten to their core, and all they're thinking of is the DEI hire. And that's where I feel like the problems begin. The problem begin when you are not fucking real with yourself. And I'll be honest with myself. I have a hard time being real sometimes. It happens. It happens. I'm going to keep it $150 with myself. It happens because you want to do corporate speak. You want to do what you got to do to pay your bills. It be like that. So sometimes it is necessary for you to pay your bills and really act right. But when you see somebody doing wrong, when you see somebody treating you where a little sleight of hand is happening, that's when you have to truly, truly dig down deep in your heart and think about it. Like, hey, yo, am I gonna deal with this? Am I gonna let this shit slide? Because if you let it slide once, next time they will come around harder. And that's, I think, what Iran is seeing right now. Hey, big props to them. They've exposed the world. Iran has exposed the state of the world right now. America used to be a belt to ass type country. That was the most powerful nation in the world. But Iran finally made the bully bleed. They made Superman bleed. They might not win this war because America is the greatest military power there ever was. But they made damn sure that people saw the bullshit, the fucking facade it all was. And I think the American people are seeing it now too, because the fucking administration in right now is not doing what they said they would. America first, where? What? Hello? Are we in the same room? We reading the same book, or are we on different chapters? I don't know. Because it's seeming more and more that we got technocratic overlords. We got oligarchs. But they're righteous. That's all I know. They're righteous people. It's starting to seem more and more that these leaders of ours, these so-called politicians, don't seem to have your interest at heart. They seem to have other hand in the pot. And that pot is hot. And it's a lot. Because it's AIPAC money. Oh, what is AIPAC? That sounds very interesting. Oh, that's good to know. Learning. Might have to look into that. Oh, Jews. What are Jews? What? Oh, AIPAC is, is real? Is this real? What do I know, Chad? I'm a comedian at the end of the day. I don't know anything. I'm just making friends here. That's all I can do. That's all I really know how to do, Chad. I want to make friends. I want to be invited to the party. Because clearly, I missed the invite. Clearly, it seems like I don't know what's going on. The way the world is moving right now, it's moving a little funny. It's moving a little funny. We got politicians, family members coming out as cross-dressers, wanting to be bimbo fetishes, wanting to get dommed out, wanting to get real deal dommed out. I don't know, Chad. I feel like the more I look into what's going on, the deeper the microscope, the deeper the pain. Because you start realizing these motherfuckers got nothing of honor to speak about. They got nothing to really say. They getting all their points and all their rules given to them by their overlords, because they're clearly not the overlords themselves. We know this. Pim Bondi got booted out the fucking piece of military and government part that she thought she could run. Hey, that was at 50K though. That was at 50K though. What happened, Pammy? Might have to get in that employment line. Oh, wait, she going to the private sector. Oh, we've seen this before. Once you solve the issue at hand, they blame you, but you don't do any time. You just get a cushy little job. They're going to put the real people away. That's what it is. Oh, I forgot how the game worked. Ah, that's right. That's right. If you're in the system, they'll take care of you. Because you might be able to expose the system. I forgot. How could I? I forgot I was stupid. I haven't graduated college. I forgot I'm just a community college type vibe. My bad. I didn't go to Harvard. I'm sorry. Chat, sometimes I just wonder, right? Like, maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I just don't see how to play the game. Because apparently, Dow's at 50K. And that's the craziest part. They gaslight you. They gaslight into you hating yourself, hating the fucking community you're around, hating the illegals. Oh, that's what it is. They're taking your job, not the fact that we've killed the job market by ourselves, barehanded. Oh, not that at all. It's the illegals. That's what it is. That's what it is. Not the fact that we've offloaded 90% of the jobs, taken out all the factories, made a mess of it all. And we will pay for it. That's the problem. We as the people will pay for it. And that's the fucking problem. These fucking politicians making 150K a year, but living on yachts and mansions like it's fucking no tomorrow. What do you mean? You got $1 million yacht, but you making 150K a year? What? What? Math ain't mathin'. I don't know. I don't know nothing. And that's what the fucking scary part is, Chad. I feel like the world is in an interesting place. And I'm trying to make it interesting for myself too. I'm trying to make it all make sense because a lot of things don't make sense. My English is my second language, so that could be it. User error, I don't know. But I feel like it's top down. Nowadays, the bosses have to be so brutal to their employees because that's the only way they'll make me, you know. I don't know if that's possibly the only truth, but that's how they're going to make it through the month. And I think during COVID, a lot of real mom and pop shops that were doing the right thing, that were doing the actual best they could, treating their employees right, treating their community right, they were taken out by a strategic, very strategic move. And that's the problem, chat. Nowadays, it's kind of very clear on what's going on. But the fucking problem is you're still getting gaslighted. And that's the biggest psyop of it all. That's the biggest psyop of it all when they're trying to gaslight you in the fact that, hey, look, hey, people are surviving somehow. It might be you that needs to work harder. They made you worse than a peasant in the fucking Middle Ages. Peasants back in the day worked, what, 150 days a year? Sure, they might have been doing back-breaking work, but 150 days a year of back-breaking work is a lot better than the 365 days that we work of mediocrity. Our souls are getting depleted, chat. Most people don't know what they want to do when they want to do it because they got to make sure they make ends meet. And when you have to make ends meet, you have no time to sit back, relax, and think on it because somebody else is thinking for you. And that's the craziest part of it all, that it was by design. This was all by design. All of a sudden, we have this war, and they talking about going back to the moon. And they still struggling. What? How are you struggling now, but back in the 60s, early 70s, you made it to the moon, stayed there for a little while, and chilled and came back? I don't know. I want to take my tinfoil hat off and really just, like, see what it is for what it is, right? I feel like I might be tripping, but it's seeming to me that somebody's lying somewhere, somehow. It's seeming more and more that the world is in cahoots with some bullshit. These world leaders are trying to build a system where you are trapped into this debt cycle where if you don't owe, you don't participate. They want you to be on this system depending on it every inch and every way, because if you don't, the system falls apart. It has to get everybody on board, otherwise it's a pyramid scheme. Once you stop getting new members onboarded, oh shit, it's a problem. When you're not on the Rothschilds banking system, oh shit, you might need a little bit of democracy. Oh, we heard you had oil. Let's go ahead and get you a country popping. And chat, it's seeming more and more that all these lies are genuinely up for debate. Because when you put a microscope on these motherfuckers, once you put a absolute microscope on these motherfuckers, you see their little cracks, their little crevices of just absolute debauchery and absolute heathenistic activities. Ooh, we see it all once you put a microscope on it. And that's the problem. That once you start doing that with these evil people, it becomes crazy. Now it becomes a war because these motherfuckers have been in power for so long. They will attack your family. They will attack everybody around you to get to you. I don't know how we win this, chat, but it is a battle that needs to be won. And the best way to win it is be the most authentic version of yourself. You have to keep it real with yourself. Everybody got a group of friends, 10, 15, but all y'all motherfuckers don't got your own personality. You just go off the top, dog. The one guy runs all y'all friend group. You know how the TikTok shit came out where it's like the leader of the group. Oh, that's the leader of the group. Yeah, y'all some lames if you got a leader of the group. Y'all losers. If you got a leader of the group, oh, I'm the pack leader. Like, what do you mean? If you have to listen to one guy and what we're going to do and what the plans are to one guy, okay, dude, do what you got to do. Okay. You a grown-ass man listening to another grown-ass man on how to live your life. Crazy. That's not me, though. Couldn't be me. But technically, it is all of us nowadays. Because we're all listening to yahoo.com. Mr.Yahoo.com. Mr. Net in a Yahoo. You know? He's running the world, clearly. Clearly, he's running the fucking government like it's his own play toy. What do I know, chat? But I think the way things are moving, we probably need to prepare for what's to come. Because I'm starting to realize that this is not the end. This is definitely not the end. This is a beginning of something much worse. This is a beginning of a much worse to come. And that is what's scary, because I don't know what's there to come. They're planning chaos. This seems like planned chaos. In the government, in local parliament, whatever you want to call it, it seems like planned chaos across the world all around. Because it's seeming like a lot of people want AI overlords. Because once there's AI overlords, there will be no fingers to point. Oh, it was just AI. They made the best logical decision. When you take decision-making out of the human hands and put it into robot hands, oh, we've lost the plot. We've lost the plot. Lost the plot worse than the fucking guy with fake titties, you know? And I think that's where it gets scary. A lot of people are getting to a point where they're not having any faith in the system. They're having nothing but disbelief on where they're at in life. They're having nothing but a absolute hatred towards the system that we're entrapped in. Because it's seeming more and more that people are waking up to a world that they could not recognize. But it is all by design that we're getting here, chat, because this was not made for fun. This was made so they can suck the soul out your fucking body. Pause. And I'm seeing that firsthand. When I do stand-up, I see that firsthand. Not every mic, but some mics that I go to, I recognize that. You say one word, they might take you offline. They might get you kicked out. But some other person that's been saying virtuous and very, very absolutely perfect lines, following the boundaries of the social norms, seems to get the most amount of time, most amount of love, because he's saying the right things. Not the truth. They might not be saying the truth. They're just saying the right things to make you feel better. And that's the thing. That's where we're at. That's the level of facade we're in. We're at the level that no level of truth can convince somebody to do better. You just got to make them feel better. We just have to make sure, hey, oh, that's how you feel? Let me support that. You might be completely wrong. You think potatoes can fly around the room on their own. And look, we'll support you. I don't know. The level of honesty is disappearing in this world. We're going more and more towards dictatorship. We're going more and more towards a level of autonomy given up to the Big Daddy. And I think it will be completely and truly, utterly lost if Trump gets into a third presidency. I know it's completely unconstitutional. It seems very, very unconstitutional, but it's seeming like more and more likely by the day. The way they're moving things, the way people are getting fired out of the government, the way things are going. It's seeming like we're going towards a third term presidency. And I don't know if that's the right decision, chat, because of the fact that, look, there's a reason the Constitution was written. But it seems like we're back to square one. History might not repeat itself, but it often rhymes for real. And it scares me, chat, because I don't know where we're headed. But what I do know is the place we're headed is the unknown, the absolute unknown. But I have hope. I truly do. As much as I bring on the doom and gloom, I have hope because people are good people. Not everybody's evil. There's only the top 2% that is genuinely evil to the core, and they have made the other 98% feel like they have no power. And I think that's truly, truly what's evil. When they take your autonomy, they take your freedoms. It becomes very hard for you to take things seriously. It's hard for you to speak out openly. We saw this recently. People that speak out might get arrested, might get put away. England is doing this out the wazoo. Whatever you're saying on social media is taking you to jail. And that's crazy because America's the one country that has the constitutional right of freedom of speech. But even here, the Drewski skit, right? Drewski did the whole skit with Erica Kirk being the butt of the joke. But Trump is telling Erica Kirk, hey, if I were you, sue that motherfucker. And that's scary, that if your own president is not talking about freedom of speech, but rather suing somebody for parody. Hey, we're about to go into a draconian, I can't even spell that. A scary place, a scary, scary place that may have no ramifications until it's too late. There's no turning around now. It's feeling more and more that we're losing our rights day by day. It all started with 9/11, right? They made it seem like, hey, it was the weapons of mass destruction Oh shit, it wasn't. It was an inside job. Oh boy, this is getting scary. This is getting tinfoil hat. They muddied the water so much. They made the things, and they made the rules and regulations so dirty. They had the 9/11 commission, their own people do their, it's like say, you know, say somebody, let's say, you know, your neighbor kills his wife, right? But the agency that's supposed to investigate him, they put him as in charge of that. Like, of course he's gonna be like, no, it wasn't me, it was somebody else. Like, that's what it feels like this whole system has done, is put people that have done the crimes in charge. I told you, we need an overhaul. We need a wipe system. We need to just pack him off. And I'm not trying to be radical. This is America. After January 6th, I realized we've gone downhill. I think January 6th was a psyop to the fucking fullest. That was them collecting all the people that might have been able to do some kind of coup in the future. They got them all on one thing and got them packed in and packed off. The fucking leaders, the fucking leadership, everybody in that whole thing was feds. 90% of people in that was feds. The people, they fucking put 1,000 feds to get 3 guys. And that's what it's seeming like is happening. It's becoming a dictatorship. So, I don't know how to really describe it otherwise, chat. It's seeming more and more that we are living through history. But let's get right into it, bro. Let's see how Trump is building an American
Here we are.
dictatorship.
And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
Since Trump started in politics, he has been underestimated. Few thought he would win in 2016.
Donald Trump is not going to be president of the United States. Take it to the bank. I guarantee it.
And now she's on his dick.
Then supporters told us ideas like the Muslim ban should be taken seriously, but not literally, only for those ideas to become reality. Then Trump joked he wouldn't leave office.
One of them said, you know he's not leaving. He's not leaving. You know that. And I thought he's a comedian. I thought he was kidding. He's for real. So now we have to start thinking about that because it's not a bad idea.
Columnists.
Excuse me?
He's for real. So now we have to start thinking about that because it's not a bad idea.
Columnists writing articles with titles like, "There will be no Trump coup," shortly before Trump sent a mob to the Capitol to try and overturn the election.
I'm telling you, bro, this was seeming more and more like this was their way of getting people that could have in the future caused an issue, but they got them early, you know?
So, given this long-running failure of imagination, what should we make of the idea that Trump is turning the US into a dictatorship?
We're going to have ICE surround the polls. We will never again allow an election to be stolen.
That's seeming very scary, bro. That's seeming like early Nazi Germany.
Take over the voting in at least 15 places.
The signs seem everywhere. The violence of ICE on the streets, Trump's efforts to lock up political opponents.
Bro, they called American citizens terrorists after they killed them. What?
Just being arrested, media outlets compromised, use of the DOJ to get revenge, attacks on universities, attacks on businesses, promises of crackdowns, videos of political arrests, use of emergency.
Well, that was AI for sure. That was AI for sure. We know that was AI.
Large-scale corruption, Big Brother-style banners everywhere. There's been a lot.
Usually they say he's a horrible dictator type person. I'm a dictator. But sometimes you need a dictator.
But at the same time, I know many feel skeptical of this idea. To be honest, I often feel skeptical of this idea. And so I wanted to make a video focusing just on this question. Is Trump building a dictatorship in the US?
I originally did not feel this way, bro. But recently, in the recent bullshit that I've seen, it's seeming more likely than ever, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
And I'm going to do it in 2 parts. First, in this video, I'll set out all the reasons to worry. Then in another video, I'll give the more optimistic case. To answer this question, I've gone deep, reading through a pile of reporting and research and looking at how dictatorships have emerged around the world and throughout history. This information is important because if we can understand the way dictatorships work at a deeper level, we can recognize the changes that are taking place right now, often hidden in plain sight, and so be able to stop Trump or anyone else building an American dictatorship. There's so much going on with Trump, so much noise, that with this dictatorship question, I want to zoom in on one particular area. At the foundation of all dictatorships are the security forces, the military, police, and other parts of the state.
And that's what ICE feels like. ICE feels like a military style police that has no authority over the American citizens, but they are apparently able to do shit that police, like, it just seems unconstitutional to have people that are masked up, unable to identify themselves, unable to do any of that.
Wield the power of brute force. Trump is doing many things to undermine democracy, but ultimately it will be his ability to control these forces that is key if he wants to build a dictatorship. In a democracy, security forces get their direction from a government or leader who is chosen by the people through elections. And the different parts of these forces all serve the people. But what we see under a dictatorship is that these institutions are corrupted. They no longer exist to serve the people, but to oppress the people and keep the regime in control. And under Trump, there is plenty of evidence that this process is taking place in the United States.
He says, can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something. And he's suggesting that that's what we should do, that we should bring in the troops and shoot the protesters.
No justice, no peace.
During the George Floyd protests of his first term, Trump wanted to use the military.
Bro, he wasn't even that bad in the first presidency. This time around, bro, something happened. They got him. There's some level of conspiracy that happened in his second. I don't know what is going on after the shooting. When he got shot, somehow nobody got arrested. They got that one guy. I think that was a fucking psyop. I don't know.
To break up protests. At that time, Trump's defense secretary stopped this happening, which Trump hated, later firing the man and venting to staff, "I need the kind of generals that hit the hand." Quote, people who are totally loyal to him, that follow orders. At another point, he appeared to refer to the massacre of protesters in Tiananmen Square in 1989, telling officials the Chinese generals would know what to do. Well, in his second term, Trump has made his appointments differently. Kash Patel, for example, is head of the FBI, a man whose qualifications include being a podcaster and writing a children's book casting himself as a wizard fighting a Russia collusion hoax. The Secretary of Defense is Pete Hegseth, TV host and party boy, now in charge of 1.3 million active
troops. Bro, I think what he did was he just got these incompetent people that are just the face of the department when he's running it all. These people are so incompetent, they don't see the bullshit. They are just getting played the whole time. As Trump hired such underqualified people, one common explanation is that he's a dummy who likes people who look good on TV. But hiring underqualified people is also about loyalty.
Our country has never been so secure thanks to you.
You have breathed life back into the profession of law enforcement, and you are going to save the whales on the East Coast.
People like this know they'd never have their prestigious job without Trump, and so they become yes men, happy to be sycophants and do whatever they're told. This also explains why Trump is happy to appoint people who've criticized him in the past, knowing that when such people are turned to sycophants, they are humiliated and thus have greater incentive to stay in Trump's circle, the one area where they have power and esteem. The net result is people who will do whatever Trump wants.
Can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something.
Hiring yes men is not the only way that Trump is ensuring the personal loyalty of those in the security forces. Since Trump was elected, his administration has fired unprecedented numbers of senior people from the military. They even fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, something that has never happened before. There have also been multiple waves of firings at the FBI, something that has contributed to a severe manpower shortage. In fact, Patel recently admitted it would take 14 years to get the agency fully staffed again. The intelligence agencies have also been cleared out. The head of the Defense Intelligence Agency was fired for daring to question whether Iran's nuclear program had been obliterated, and multiple intelligence professionals were ousted after Laura Loomer, a MAGA influencer, accused them of being, quote, disloyal to Trump. Why all of these firings? Well, from the perspective of a wannabe dictator, purges have many benefits. Removing long-standing leaders makes those institutions weaker, and thus easier to boss around. Purges also mean you make room for new yes men. For example, the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs was seemingly brought in because Trump remembers him wearing a MAGA hat when they first met. Purges also send a warning to others.
And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future.
For this reason, Purges of the security forces are a common characteristic of dictatorships. Stalin, for example, famously executed tens of thousands of Red Army officers. Saddam Hussein purged members of his party live on TV. And just recently, President Xi used claims of corruption to purge a top general. When Trump can't hire yes men or purges aren't an option, he's used other tactics to put pressure on those in the security forces. FBI agents are asked in job interviews who they voted for, polygraphed about their political beliefs, while judges are insulted and threatened. Trump has also tried to corrupt the neutrality of the military.
You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so.
By turning speeches into political rallies, encouraging troops to boo political opponents, ordering the removal of soldiers with, quote, political views that are in opposition to the current administration, all while vendors
so scary, bro. Like, I'm telling you, we're going towards a nation that is not what we all signed up for. This is not the America that we were fucking freed to have. This is not the America we were free to have, Chad. This is just crazy what's going on.
MAGA hats and other merchandise. For Trump, the threats, the purges, the yes men, it's all about personal loyalty. But while the concept is an obsession of his, what he's asking for is actually a corruption of loyalty.
Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. Support and defend.
In their oath, those in the military swear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution, not to a person. In fact, loyalty is at the top of the US Army's list of values, but it's defined as true faith and allegiance to the US Constitution. In other words, the military must be loyal, but it's loyal to the laws and democracy at the heart of the American system, not to any particular politician, leader, or party. That's why it's wrong for the military to boo or cheer politicians, and why it'd be wrong for a general or any other member of the military to wear a MAGA hat and uniform. But of course, a dictator doesn't want security forces to be politically neutral, loyal to whoever is elected. He wants them to be loyal to him personally.
Ich schwöre Adolf Hitler.
That's why when Hitler came to power, he replaced the traditional oath to the German constitution with an oath naming him personally. Under Mao, soldiers were expected to recite quotations from a little red book of his personal sayings, and Saddam Hussein named one part of the army the Fedayeen Saddam, literally Saddam's men of sacrifice, a unit his son Uday, a big Star Wars fan, dressed all in Darth Vader helmets. This is clearly the direction that Trump wants to take the US security forces in. It's a diminishment of the US military and the country's public servants, and it's a corruption of loyalty that takes the country closer to a dictatorship. It's not only the people, it's the purpose of these institutions.
The only thing that I will say America has, other than all these other dictatorships, the Second Amendment is very powerful in moments like this, bro. This is when we can clearly see they will not be able to take us.
That's being corrupted. I made a whole video about how the Department of Justice is now organized to be Trump's personal retribution machine, corrupted from its purpose of enforcing the law without fear or favor. Another example is the FBI, the purpose of which is to protect America against organized crime and terrorism, and maybe the odd investigation into the paranormal, but is now used to take revenge on Trump's critics, to act as drivers for the buddies of Kash Patel's girlfriend, or to investigate the widow of someone ICE agents have just shot without justification. But perhaps the most worrying corruption of purpose is Trump's obsession with using the US military against its own citizens.
Extraordinary images out of Los Angeles tonight. Hundreds of National Guard troops now on the ground, deployed by President Trump, even though state leaders say they didn't ask for them and don't want them there.
In June last year, Trump sent National Guard and Marines to Los Angeles, and since then Trump has deployed troops all over the US.
If you take a look at what's been going on in Portland, that's insurrection. I mean, that's pure insurrection.
Trump has justified these deployments as needed to counter insurrection and crime emergencies, though it's not credible to call these protests insurrections, and the crime rates in the cities Trump has targeted were already trending down. The aim of the military is to protect the country from external threats, not suppress protests. After all, when service members are pledging loyalty to the Constitution, they're pledging loyalty to defending rights like the right to protest. But dictators, of course, see things differently. They need the military to put down protests, as the Chinese army did in 1989, commanded by generals that Trump says he admires. The founders of America knew about the ways soldiers on the streets can be used to oppress a people, and the US has long-standing laws against using the military domestically. But Trump has established a new normal, placing the most powerful part of a state's security forces where they will be most needed in a dictatorship: in the capital city, where he has the power to command them directly, and in democratic cities that are most likely to be sources of protest just as he tightens his control, corrupting the military, like other parts of the security forces, from their purpose as protectors of America's democracy into a force that can destroy it. There's one other way in which Trump is corrupting the US security forces.
Video released by Trump administration officials shows a 29th boat strike that killed one person in the Eastern Pacific.
Since September 2025, at least 128 people have been killed in dozens of airstrikes on alleged drug boats. Now let's put aside for one moment that these are best
What if
case.
these are not alleged drug boats, but rather people that are trying to escape the Matrix and they get that $1 million bomberoni?
Executions without trial, without evidence, and with no imminent threat to the US. For many, this won't seem too different to past American foreign policy. But if you're looking for signs of an emerging dictatorship, what's most worrying about these actions is the precedent they set for the US military breaking US laws.
Sources tell CNN the US military carried out a follow-up strike on September 2nd after becoming aware of survivors in the water. The sources tell us that prior to the strike, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth had ordered the military to ensure everyone on board was killed.
Killing your opponent when they're disarmed is dishonorable, but it's also clearly against US law. In fact, the US Law of War Manual even uses firing upon the shipwrecked as an example of the kind of thing that even ordinary soldiers would know is unlawful. We're used to hearing about America's illegal wars, and as I record this, Trump has started a war with Iran that is against international law. But I'm focusing on this boat strike because it's such a clear example. Even MAGA fan channel Newsmax said it was a crime.
This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires be rescued instead to be murdered. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Everybody along the line who did it, from the Secretary of Defense to the Admiral to the people who actually pulled the trigger, should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these two people.
Of course, it's important for the military to obey orders from civilian leadership, but like every part of the security forces in a democracy, they have to follow the law. This idea is foundational. It's there in the Army's oath of enlistment, where service members promise to obey the orders of the president according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. But of course, a dictator doesn't want the law interfering with his orders. That's why in Turkey, when President Erdogan was building his dictatorship, he passed a series of immunity laws that protected his security forces from the law, while Putin has passed similar laws in Russia. And now in the US, Trump's administration is systematically trying to do the same thing with the US military. Hegseth has fired the top military lawyers, made it harder for rank and file to report wrongdoing, and has downgraded the rules that restrict how soldiers treat civilians and prisoners and so on.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
You can see how important it is for Trump to have the US military outside the law, from his reaction to 6 Democratic lawmakers releasing a video urging those in the armed forces to refuse illegal orders. An idea that is, as we've seen, at the core of the US military's culture. Yet Trump called their videos seditious behavior punishable by death, while his prosecutors tried to charge them with breaking the law. This is all happening in a wider context of impunity, where Trump argues anyone who saves his country, as defined by him, does not violate any law, uses his pardon power to protect violent supporters, and where the Supreme Court has granted him wide-ranging immunity. Trump is trying to create a situation that is, in effect, forget the lawyers, do whatever I say, I'll cover you. It's a corruption of accountability that takes America closer to a dictatorship. Okay, so we've talked about FBI, military, intelligence services, but now I want to look at a different part of the security services, one that looks key to America's emerging dictatorship. So normally I'd have a sponsor news, which is a will repair 9.
Ooh, this shit is the fucking, this is where I started to kind of get a little sussy-wussy. Like, what the fuck is going on talking about illegals and all this crazy shit, bro? It's seeming more and more like a dictatorship once ICE got put into place. That's when I started getting like, whoa.
The purpose of ICE, along with its sister agency, Customs and Border Protection, is immigration enforcement. The way it has gone about that job has, of course, been violent and controversial, but it is arguably what many people voted for.
We will carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. We have no choice.
However, many observers don't see just immigration enforcement.
This is Gestapo type stuff.
Gestapo-like
behavior.
Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to?
The Gestapo were Hitler's secret police. In fact, the word is an abbreviation of Geheim Staatspolizei, which literally means secret state police. The Gestapo targeted communists, dissidents, and anyone they thought was a political threat to the Nazi regime. Later, they also targeted Jews and others they deemed undesirable, subjecting them all to a system of arrest, torture, and detention. The purpose of a secret police is to target political opponents and dissidents, and you find versions of them in all dictatorships. For example, Russia has the FSB, the intelligence agency that is the successor to the KGB. This is the agency that Putin, himself once a KGB officer, has used to imprison and kill opposition figures such as Alexei Navalny. So does it make sense to see ICE as Trump's secret police? Well, much of their action does seem political, targeting people because of their political activism or for even just writing editorials. They have arrested politicians and targeted protesters with violence. You start to notice other parallels as well. The way immigrants have been othered and dehumanized.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime.
That's the craziest part. They always blame it on the drugs. They bring it on the crime. Like all the... Bro, it's not a crime to exist. They changed the laws. It's only a crime if you do it. Rules for thee, but none for me. That's the problem.
They're rapists.
Described as pollution.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
And now forced into hiding, an echo of the way Jews were forced to hide under Hitler. The other way ICE seems like a secret police is their secrecy. Their masks have become notorious, officers operating unlike the regular police without badge numbers, names or body cams. Some even posing as construction workers and delivery drivers to make arrests. ICE also uses surveillance like a secret police force, tracking the location of targets using mobile phone signals, monitoring protests with Predator drones, even monitoring social media for anti-ICE sentiment. In which case, hi guys!
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist.
In all this, it's not just immigrants who are targeted, but US citizens, tracked using facial recognition and other data sources so as to intimidate them. In fact, in the footage of Rene Good, you can see the ICE officer using his phone to record a face and license plate for this purpose, shortly before he shot her.
We're huddled, trying to stay warm, wrapped in these aluminum foils, looking like dead bodies.
There's no window that you can look outside.
I never was able to breathe fresh air.
Fluorescent lights are shining 24/7.
I worked as a journalist in Egypt and I was persecuted and detained and tortured. My experience at the Butler County Jail was more traumatizing than my detention in Egypt.
ICE currently has over 70,000 people locked up in a network of detention centers with overcrowding and awful conditions, and many people dying, often from a lack of medical care or suicide. In fact, the Associated Press reported that guards were making bets over which detainee would be next to die from suicide, and it's a system that's due to expand.
The Department of Homeland Security is planning to spend nearly $40 billion on new immigration detention centers.
All this parallels the creation of the Gulag system in the USSR under Stalin, which held millions of people, the system of Nazi camps where political opponents were held under, quote, protective custody, or the re-education camps currently existing in Xinjiang, China, into which over 1 million Muslim Uyghurs have been sent. The detention centers also parallel the way many US citizens were imprisoned without trial during the Second World War, with some of the current detention centers in the same locations.
To all ICE officers, you have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties.
Perhaps the most ominous way.
Does he not look like a fucking Nazi general, bro? Does he not look like he's ready to be in the Nazi general outfit? Like, just put him on a little mustache right here, just put a little hat on him and like a fucking little Nazi flag. Chat, we've gone too far, bro. We've gone too far. We're losing our fucking base. Like, we're losing all morality. We're losing all humanity.
You have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties.
Perhaps the most ominous way in which ICE feels like something from a dictatorship is the way it seems it can get away with anything. As Stephen Miller knows, even when federal agents kill someone, US law makes it very difficult for states to bring charges against federal officers, or for families to sue for damages. The DOJ, who should investigate, is no longer impartial and will join the FBI in investigating the family of the victim, while the shooter is rewarded with donations. And this lawlessness is everywhere. ICE telling its officers they can enter people's homes without a judge's warrant and repeatedly violating court orders.
In his latest blistering ruling, writing, ICE has likely violated more court orders in January 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence.
This lack of accountability is a key aspect of security services under a dictatorship. The Gestapo, for example, was governed by a special law that made it immune from judicial review and oversight site, answering only to Hitler. In fact, in 1941, a German Jewish lawyer who had escaped Nazi Germany wrote a book called The Dual State, which captured how this works. The two parts of the state were the normative state, the ordinary world of laws and courts that was needed to keep the economy and normal society functioning, and the other part was the prerogative state, where the regime is, quote, released from all legal restraints and depends solely on the discretion of the persons wielding political power. But having said all that, there are ways the Gestapo comparison doesn't seem quite right, as it focused more on targeted arrests rather than random sweeps, and Hitler had control of another organisation that might be a closer parallel. The SA, stormtroopers or ground shares, were Hitler's thugs and enforcers, used by Hitler to intimidate opponents, judges and voters. In our schema of a dictator's security forces, they're known as a pro-regime militia. Other examples include the colectivos in Venezuela or the Basij in Iran, who recently gunned down many thousands of protesters. Militias are also part of US history. Industrialists hired the Pinkerton Detective Agency to break strikes in the 1800s, and for almost a century most Southern Democrats were content to let the Ku Klux Klan terrorize and lynch black citizens. Like other parts of the security forces, Trump wants ICE to be loyal to him personally. And while the military and FBI have traditions of professionalism and loyalty to the Constitution that make this harder, corrupting the loyalty of people in ICE is much easier. Partly this is done with money, signing on bonuses of $50,000 and help with student loans. But the main reason it's easier is that so many ICE recruits are new, meaning the administration can ensure that those who sign up share their political agenda.
It's a meme often used by right-wing influencers, and which refers to this book, a 700-page anti-Semitic rant popular with neo-Nazis.
The administration is using far-right memes to attract recruits who are likely to support Trump personally, while at the same time cutting their legal training.
Without reform, ICE will graduate thousands of new officers who do not know their constitutional duty, do not know the limits of their authority, and who do not have the training to recognize an unlawful order. That should scare everyone.
The Trump administration has also set very low standards when it comes to recruitment, waiving maximum age requirements and failing to vet candidates, to the point where it's become a joke.
As an equal opportunity employer, we accept all levels of experience and education, from low to very low, and actively welcome those with diagnosed anger issues.
I wanted to join the regular police, but they told me they wouldn't take someone who was already under arrest. Animal control said nope.
Like the underqualified cabinet members, Trump wants people who know they'd only have a job with him in power, and who therefore can't afford not to be loyal. Okay, so we've set out how Trump has corrupted the various parts of the security forces into a coercive regime.
See, what will get scary if all of a sudden they start pardoning people for you know, something they've done, they got put into jail, like they're like, hey, your felony will be waived if you sign up with ICE. Hey, we will waive all the, like, people that are felons are able to get a job in ICE. Like, that will get scary. If people that are, obviously, I'm not for felon not being able to get your job. Like, if you were selling like pounds of weed, you're not a fucking, like, you're not danger to society. If all you were, you was trying to plug the society up, trying to chill them out. If that's all you were doing, that's one thing. But if you're like all of a sudden a convicted murderer, they're like, you can't get a job nowhere else. But if you work for ICE, you can get locked in with us.
A secret police and pro-regime militia, a system designed not to serve the people, but to enforce the control of the leader. But here I want to talk about some of the objections you hear when you talk about this topic. Some of the objections I even had.
Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin.
Why did he rap that shit? Vladimir.
If you look at dictators like Putin, you see calculating, smart politicians working systematically to achieve their aim of permanent power. Similarly, Hitler had a clear intention of being a dictator and seized on events that allowed him to implement that vision. Many observers describe Trump's actions in the same way, using language like authoritarian playbook. But does Trump really feel like this?
I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold.
Trump is so chaotic and easily distracted, it hardly feels like he's got a master plan. Also, while in this video I've been explaining everything from the perspective of dictatorship, there are other explanations.
I feel like they're planning this chaos for a technocratic government. Because if Trump leaves and they elect like an AI president, right? If our 50th president is an AI president, right? Trump could run that if he wanted, right? So I'm just saying.
Of the chairman of
Bro, these motherfuckers got 94K people watching live, bro. Motherfuckers that are streamers got more views than this, bro.
Joint Chiefs, for example, was also motivated by the fact the man had released a video during the 2020 George Floyd protests talking about racism, a wokeness crime that Trump and his people held against him. Similarly, many of the other firings were about Trump punishing agents who'd worked on investigations of him. As I explored in a previous video, Trump has a self-defeating obsession with getting revenge on those he sees as enemies. If Trump was really after dictatorship, you'd think he'd focus more on those who will run in 2028. For me, this question of Trump's motivation was often the reason I doubted the coming dictatorship argument, but here's how my thinking's changed. First, even if Trump's authoritarian actions are driven more by instinct than a master plan, the damage to democracy is still happening. Compare how we think about the economy. No politician has a
so like
First,
hold on,
authoritarian actions are driven more by instinct than a master plan. The damage to democracy.
So we gotta end up in these states. We gotta somehow, even Texas has gotten caught lacking, bro. Like, I get it, around the border is one thing, but we gotta somehow end up in Oklahoma, North Dakota, Minnesota, Chicago, like all these up north states. Like, it's too cold for these ICE agents to get up here, I feel like. You know, they gotta get, now I see we gotta get to Oregon. I love Oregon, I'm not gonna lie. You gotta go up north.
Is still happening. Compare how we think about the economy. No politician has a master plan to destroy the economy, but if they destroy the economy, then we recognize the damage being done. Besides, there have been other dictators in history who didn't start with plans of dictatorship, but ended up there all the same. Also, if American democracy is damaged, it's much easier for other politicians, more ruthless and intentional politicians, to take advantage of that situation. Dictatorship by instinct is still dictatorship. Another objection is that this is all exaggeration. How can we talk about Hitler and dictatorships when Trump's actions are still checked by the Supreme Court? And despite his bluster, the 2020...
I mean, bro, was it when he started the war? Was Congress really informed about that? Them motherfuckers just locked in and said, fuck it, we going over there. Send ground troops.
26 midterm elections and the 2028 elections are still widely expected to be competitive. And I do think there is a point here, especially in the way comparisons with Hitler can be out of date. In Nazi Germany, the passing of the Enabling Act in 1933 gave Hitler's cabinet the power to enact laws without parliamentary approval and marked a clear moment. Similarly, many other dictatorships have begun with military coups or revolutions. In other words, moments when there's been a definite change from democracy to dictatorship. I think this is the binary model in most people's minds, talking about the death of democracy or crossing the line into dictatorship.
I mean, I don't think it's the death of democracy just yet, but we're on a very fine, thin line, chat. I feel, bro, I'm so dead ass right now, bro. Like, things are bad now, but they will get worse. That's what I'm feeling like, bro. That's the sentiment I'm feeling, bro. I feel it at the comedy clubs, man. I do stand up at certain clubs and I'm like, bro, y'all pussy. Like, what are y'all doing, bro? This used to, like, just like in the 4 years that I've been doing stand up, I've noticed the crowd change. And not even the crowd. The other day, bro, I was at Sharks, right? I was at Sharks. Wait, what? What? Hold on a second. What? Skip navigation. Wait, what? What? I don't know if y'all are able to see this on my screen. I gotta figure that out. What the hell? Is that the
But in more recent decades, fewer dictatorships or autocracies have developed like this. Rather than sudden moments, democracies have been slowly undermined and degraded into dictatorship and authoritarianism. Scholars talk of democratic backsliding, decay, erosion, and have come up with many terms to describe this ambiguous state between healthy democracy and full-blown dictatorship. This kind of model lets you account for how authoritarian countries can go from bad to worse. Putin's dictatorship in Russia today is worse than it was 10 years ago, for example, and lets you see how even if America under Trump is not a full-blown dictatorship, that doesn't mean all is well. The key question is, where will the US end up? Okay, let's imagine we're approaching the 2028 elections. Trump hadn't planned to run a third time, but he decides he's enjoying the amount of money he's accumulating and remembers the accountability he faced when he was last out of power. And while the Constitution and the polling are against him running a third time, Trump decides to defy expectations as he has in the past. After all, it's not normal times. It is, as he's been saying since he introduced tariffs, an emergency. Or maybe by now repeated provocation in democratic cities has led to serious riots. Or maybe there's been another assassination attempt. Trump's administration decides it's time to crack down on left-wing organizations in the way it threatened to do after Charlie Kirk's killing. To finally arrest all the politicians
this is AI. We know this is AI video, okay?
Trump's threatened to over the years. To go after activists using the surveillance and secret police methods Trump's agencies have become so practiced at.
This is
Donald Trump once again floated the idea of canceling the midterms.
He boasted that he had accomplished so much that when you think of it, we shouldn't even have an election.
Trump has joked about cancelling elections before, but maybe things are more serious now. After all, it wouldn't be surprising if the US is at war. And it's only natural that war changes things. As Trump joked before, if Ukraine's elections are suspended because of war, why can't it be the same in the US? In the US's own history, the Civil War was grounds for locking people up indefinitely without trial. The First World War led to the administration shutting down opposition media, and the Second World War saw, as we've seen, thousands of US citizens put in detention camps. Even if the elections aren't suspended, at the very least, Republicans in Congress should, as Trump has already urged, take them over to prevent fraud, by which of course Trump means any result that doesn't favour him. ICE agents could help with this, as Steve Bannon has already threatened, intimidating and arresting Democratic voters in strategic locations that help win key states. Or, another scenario, the FBI, now completely corrupt, finds evidence of a deep state coup being plotted against Trump. After all, coups have been used by other dictators as opportunities to purge judges and change the constitution. However it happens, it's clear the dictatorship is here. Protests start to break out, but don't worry, Trump already has control of the police in the capital city, and now he sends National Guard from Trump states to suppress the protests. Previous Trump appointees resisted such orders, but after the purges, it's not hard to find commanders to say yes. He also sends ICE officers, people already recruited for their pro-Trump politics, who know they are unaccountable for what they do, radicalized by years of hatred from protesters, and perhaps fearing for their jobs if the opposition wins. With ICE, Trump has a national security force that is directly answerable to him. And unlike the military, which is reluctant and unused to operating domestically,
in
ICE is
all reality, bro, they need to get that Glocky, that Glock dookie on them. Because, bro, that's the only way we're able to fucking do this is have the Second Amendment to your chest. The right to bear arms is the only way we beat this dictatorship, chat. I'm telling you.
The presence on this.
Once they start doing all kinds of fuck shit and they start banning the second right, like Second Amendment, oh, we're in trouble.
Practiced in violence against civilians and backed up by a gulag of detention centers. Another scenario is Congress put under pressure. Hitler famously used SS troops to pressure Germany's parliament into giving him dictatorial powers. In 2020, in El Salvador, Bukele sent troops into parliament to get his way and help establish his dictatorship. And Trump supporters used force to try and intimidate Congress into overturning the 2020
I think
elections.
this was psyop, bro. I think this was a psyop. They wanted to get everybody that may rise up, and they arrested them all.
So imagine Congress asked to push through changes in the Constitution. They can hear Trump's thugs chanting outside the chamber, and this time the DC police, under Trump's control, are ordered to stand aside. ICE will be there to help too, either officially or perhaps given the day off, free to act as an unaccountable militia. The Constitution suspended, opposition detained, elections controlled. And while it might not have come about through a master plan, not all of a sudden, the result will be the same, an American dictatorship. Okay, there we are.
Hey, yo, that was scary. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, bro. That was scary, and I'm fucking feeling like there is something going on with my chat. Like, I can't even lie to you. There's something going on with my, I don't even know how this even got put on here. This is a little sketchy, man. I don't know how this skip navigation came through. This seems a little sketchy to me. I don't know. That was a little sketchy. I did not realize that was gonna be put on my display. But look, chat, I feel like the way the world is moving right now, it's getting scarier and it's scarier. I'm feeling like more people are on edge than ever before. I think more people feel like they're vulnerable right now. They feel like their lives are in danger than ever before. And I respectfully agree. Like, I can't even lie. I respectfully agree to the fact that, hey, we all might be under surveillance for, hey, going against Trump. And it does feel scary when I'm at the club and I'm saying some crazy shit on some fun shit and you get kicked off stage for, you know, saying something against the government. Now they're arresting you once you get off stage. I don't know, chat. They got Carlin, you know, they got George Carlin whenever he used to speak out of turn. But I guess that does build aura, right? Like when you get arrested like that, it does build aura. But it is a level of stress that is crazy. You know, it's a level of stress that you might be able to like not get over because they're trying to pressure you financially and spiritually. They make you feel wrong about what you're doing. And chat, it's seeming like the life that we're living right now is very privileged. And it might not be very long before we don't have those privileges. It's seeming more and more those privileges are getting taken away day by day. We should have known that with how after 9/11, they took away all your rights of being in the airport for free. Did that make you any fucking better? Did that protect you any more than normal? Because I don't feel like we did. I don't feel like we got better than we were before. I don't know. I don't know, chat. I feel like the way life is right now, it's very, very sketchy. It's very, very scary. And I hope y'all understand where I'm coming from. I hope y'all are not scared. I hope y'all are not losing hope, because there is still hope. I still feel like we're able to stand tall, stand chest high, and really lock in. But it really comes from the bottom of your heart. It really comes from, you got this, you know? But if you feel like you don't, go ahead and put on some fake titties and say what's up to your boy. Yes, sir.